Hey, this is Thunder, the flying shaman. Somebody just sent me a video. I loved it. Even a guy had this hat on and everything. About Natalie, thank you. About a flying shaman. And I do fly, literally, and figuratively. Figuratively. I'll get that out. Yeah, because you can shapeshift and you can fly, and you can fly an airplane too. So, anyway, now that that's out of the way, common sense. This came to me last night because I look at things and I just realize that people just don't even use fucking common sense anymore. That's out the window. There is no such thing as common sense. It's like they've lived in la la land so long with their, their iPods, laptops, and all this bullshit that they have no idea. And I mean like a lot of the population, okay? Because in my day, my mom said, just use your common sense or your gut feeling or go with that, and common sense, what you see, what you experience in life, what you've seen in the past, 2 and 2 makes 4, all that good shit. Oh, just off subject, I did look up all kinds of words like shit and fuck and all these cuss words. They don't mean anything, really. It's even hard to find the roots of some of them. But I will say shortly here, just for a minute, that basically the stuff I looked up basically said, for the slang usage, it can be used in either a good way or a bad way. For instance, you can say, fuck yeah, like, you're happy, or you can say, fuck it, like you're just, you're done with it. So it's used to mean other things, only to lend emphasis. Okay, now that we got that out of the way. So shit, common sense. I got this email today. I hate emails like this. That people, you make some comment you try to tell people about the comment. About something through a comment. About the weather. This was about the weather. And I am a certified meteorologist, and I do study history, and I'm a pilot on top of that. I made some comment about, I don't know, I think it started off with the volcanoes will change the weather on the planet. And we have a lot of volcanoes right now. And even though you don't see the weather changing radically, which I do, I don't know about anybody else, or you claim you don't see it, la la land, ding dong. I know for a fact that when you put particulate matter in the air from a volcano, I don't care if you can see it or not, it changes the fucking weather. Okay, anything will change the weather. Shit, a butterfly flying through the air will change the weather, okay? Get real, wake up or shut up. Tired of it. People always want proof. Go outside and look around, dumb shit. Man, these people get to me. I think they're paid. They gotta be. They're disinfo agents, and they go on there, and it's like, man, I wonder how much they get paid. Maybe I could do that, get some extra bucks. I could debunk anybody. Common sense, people, and it all matters right now. I'm talking about, like, we're seeing the Putin thing, and we're seeing we're seeing all kinds of things. We're seeing wars all over the place, and changes in the earth, and volcanoes and earthquakes. And of course, this has all happened before. Oh, really? Were you there? And let's just say for a minute that, let's say it did all happen before, okay? Were there 7 billion fucking people on the planet when it happened before? That'll end your argument right there. Because if it happened before and wiped out dinosaurs and all kinds of shit, or there's been radical weather before, were there 7 billion people on the planet that it could affect? No. Not that we know of. You never know, though. See, that's the thing. Past history is dubious. They change it, they rewrite it. You can't believe any of that shit. Read the past history about the Indians and the genocide on them. People will argue about that, too. They're just, these people are either, they're not using their common sense, or they really do know, and they're just disinfo people out there. Let's put some disinfo out there. This guy's too close to the truth, or too many people are liking him. Somebody said they couldn't make the same woman that, I guess it's a woman, Natalie's a woman's name, although Natalie, it could be, I don't know. I don't even want to think about it. But I don't know. It's anyway, she said that she couldn't get to me, or that tried to like my videos, and see, I told you this. I said they basically, they're shuffling videos and shit on YouTube like a deck of cards, dealing out what they want, dealing from the bottom of the deck. Wonder who pays them, how much they get paid. Google is said to be worse than the NSA. I don't know. You know what the NSA is, Edward Snowden, that big building up in Utah that they ought to blow the fuck up. Okay? Sitting right out in the open. Go blow it up! Shit! Steal a drone and shoot a couple of Hellfire missiles on the motherfucker. God. Right out in the open, and people still won't do anything about it. Go get it. Where's Timothy McVeigh when we need him? Oh. He was probably a government agent, too, that they just made look like did something, and then they put him in jail and shuffled him off to some witness protection program or something. I wouldn't doubt. Can't believe anything anymore. These people will tell you anything. They'll sell you the Brooklyn Bridge 3 times. They got some swampland down in Florida. Oh, common sense, people. No shit, though. I mean, I can get dead serious. I'm having fun, but these people need to put up or shut up that say that shit isn't happening that is. Okay? They need to put up or shut up. Or if they can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. Sick of it. I come on here, and sometimes I don't come on for days because I'm just sitting in the corner shaking my head going, is this really happening? Unless I'm completely delusional, which I know I'm not, because I get too much feedback from people that go, 39 minutes of 100% truth. Okay? There's no more better compliment than that. I don't know about 100% truth. I try. Who wrote that thing, Common Sense? It was a pamphlet that was written by one of the founding fathers or one of the traders. Who was it? Thomas Paine? I can't even remember because I'm not into the white man's bullshit. Some of it, the Constitution, and it's okay. You write words down on a piece of paper and You hope somebody will use common sense with it, and they don't. That was out the window probably, a month after they wrote it. It was old news. All men are created equal, so let's go out and kill the savages. Common sense. Did they follow through with that promise? Or all men are created equal, and so we'll go out and kill all the red men. Common sense. It would have been common sense for the people that came over here in the first place, the Mayflower boys and girls. It would have been common sense for them to get together with the Indians like they first did when they first got here, because they needed help. They were scared, basically. I mean, the Vikings came over here in 581 and went, whoa, I don't know if we want to deal with this. There was a lot of tribal people. And the tribal people were good to them. The first Thanksgiving and all that crap. And then that was a big mistake. That was a big mistake, because then they turned right around and turned on the Indian. But if they would have used common sense, they would have integrated with the Indians, and learned everything they could from them about living off this land in a pristine way, and keeping it basically like it was, not building cities of refuse and garbage and stink. Oh my God, you should have seen New York back in 1813 or whenever. Sitting Bull saw one of their cities when he was with William Cody's Wild West show. He took one look at their cities and went, what's all this garbage, stinking garbage piled up all over the place? It's filth. Common sense, people. Now, if they would have integrated with the Indian, like the mountain men, like the true mountain men, like Jim Bridger and Jeremiah Johnson, Liver-Eating Johnson, he fought the Indians and he integrated with them. He had an Indian wife, and so did Kit Carson. People don't know that, but if you would have integrated, you idiots, with the Indians and learned everything like the mountain men did, the people that really were survivors and knew their shit, even back in the West, the people that really could survive and really knew their shit about survival and living next to nature, either were taught by the Indians or were captured by the Indians and taught their ways, and a lot were. And then later on they went, man, I'm sure glad that happened, as they looked at the dumb, clod-busting settlers making their way to the gold fields and to California and raping the Pahasapa, the Black Hills of the Lakota people, for looking for gold. Common sense, people. If they would have integrated with the Indian and learned how to build teepees and learned how to take only what they needed from the buffalo, the food source, and just... But their mindset was not that way. And why? Why? Let's go into another common sense area. Gold. Money. And people want to argue about that too. Oh, that ain't... They don't know shit. I got news for you. What made gold, when you think about it, here, the white settler went out, ruined the Black Hills, panned the streams, polluted them, put chemicals in them, did all kinds of shit, looking for this shiny, shiny metal. And it was kind of hard to find. And so what? That made it worth more than turquoise? Or how did these people think? That's what I want to know. And somebody asked where it all went wrong. Well, I'll tell you where it all went wrong with the financial system. Common sense again is, who the fuck says gold's worth all kinds of money? Just because it's shiny and it's hard to find, or diamonds, or... And so they made paper, and they said, okay, one whatever I weigh out on the little gold scale is worth $1, and blah blah blah. And so the dollar had something, for which it stood for. Okay, it stood for, this little pile of gold on the scale. So much gold dust. Okay, and they weighed it out when they, back in the old days when they first started doing this, the trappers and the trackers would come in with their pelts, and they'd trade it for gold dust if they weren't into mining. Only because was becoming the bartering system. Common sense tells you that that's all bullshit. I mean, right there, that's where the problem started. When you just stopped exchanging goods for goods, craftsmanship, hunting skills, food skills, making clothing skills, trading each other, and sitting around the campfire and discussing ways to live off the land. Abundances of hunting, game, everything you could want in this country. Beautiful country. Beautiful. And then what happened? The white man just came in and, shat upon it. And didn't use common sense and live in oneness with the land and the Indians, which they could have done. They could all become like the ones that lived with the Indians wore buckskin, and they knew how to use their knives, and they could butcher, and they could kill animals, and they could track, and they could live with the environment. They could live under the stars. They had no problem with it. They were one with it. But yet these settlers came in, man, they had to have their wagons and their tarps and they couldn't go, they couldn't wander out in the wilderness, or they'd never survive. But the Indians, were kicking back out there, and the mountain men going, yeah, this is cool. What are those people doing? That's the way it should freaking be. And that's the way it's going to be again when this... I can't wait for a natural disaster the size of whatever. Be it a volcano, just to prove to these assholes that Mother Nature is in charge, not them. I don't care how much gas they look for, gold, or whatever they do, or their financial machinations and their plans to kill population and their weird diseases and all this bullshit, excuse me, that has come about because of a lack of common sense. I can't wait till the big one comes, whatever it is. I hope I'm here when I see, I hope I live long enough to see like a major blow. I don't know if I want to see Yellowstone blow, but whew, man, if that thing ever blew, I better not even talk about it. Because that would just wipe everybody off the planet. And all these volcanoes are going off. Dormant ones are coming back to life. And people say, nothing's changed. That ain't gonna change nothing. You dumb shit. That's all I gotta say. It's already changing it. Radically. Particulate matter in the air from ash. I'm a pilot, remember? You can't even fly through that shit. It's so fine. It gets caught up in the jet engines and just burn out, flame out. Engine not working anymore. Bye. You don't go near that shit. And it's got it creates its own thunderstorms. It's radical. There's enough power in there like Hiroshima, or 10 times that in some of these storms and volcanoes. And there's a huge ice thing forming right now on, the Arctic Pole. Almost like an ice age thing. I mean, it's growing rapidly. Boom, right before our very eyes. Man, I hope I see something that just proves these assholes wrong that are such pie in the sky. Oh, that's happened for centuries. Yeah, it's going to happen again, too. Right before your very eyes, with 7 billion people going, oh, help us, help us. Let us live off. Where's the Indians now? We want to learn. Honest, we do. But they don't. It's too hard to learn. It's too friggin' hard to learn. They don't want to learn. They want to butcher, they don't want to kill a doe or make their own bow and arrow. Don't even need a gun. Make a really strong ash bow like they did in the tribal days, in the old days, in the 1800s. The Lakota made ash bows. And the best bow that they could make was from a tree that had been struck by lightning because it had already been cured naturally. You had to cure a bow for months, even sometimes years. There were bow makers and arrow makers. And they hunted with these, and they were damn good at it. They could take down a buck or anything silently. So they carried, when guns came, they still carried their bows, because sometimes if you used a gun, it was ammunition. Everybody knew where the fuck you were when you fired. So they'd use their bows if they didn't want to be seen and they wanted to just be low profile. That's what I'm talking about. And the mountain men, they wore buckskins, and they had the squaws make them buckskins, and they married squaws sometimes. 2 or 3. And they would tend to their man, okay? Because the woman in the tribal society was the matriarchal head, but she also made everything. Clothes, set up camp, did everything. The man just hunted, and that was it. Fought battles. That's the way it should be, in my mind. There aren't any women like that anymore. They're all like, oh my God, women's lib, and how dare you make us do this or do that. Get a life. Please. They love doing it. The native women, that was their thing. In fact, it was an insult to them, and is still to this day, when they can't do it, or women refuse to do it. I mean, they did everything. They cooked. And isn't that common sense in a way? That's common sense too. I'm telling you. Use your common sense. If you do nothing else, forget about conspiracy theories and, opinions are like assholes. Everybody got them and they stink, I know. But you can take what I say, or you cannot take what I say. Or you can listen to what I say or not listen to what I say. And most likely they're not going to let you listen to what I have to say. With these videos and this control over the videos that I feel is going on. And it was confirmed by this person, Natalie, thank you, who tried to give me a thumbs up or tried to comment or something, and her shit just disappeared evidently, or my stuff disappeared, or wouldn't let them. I don't know what they're doing. I've seen big changes lately on YouTube where you can't, somebody sends you a deal, they send to your email a deal that said somebody commented on posted an answer to your comment, To reply, click here, and you click on the reply and there's nothing there. The comment isn't there unless it's in the process of being processed. Well, don't send me the goddamn email unless it has been processed. I don't want to click on it, waste my time, and go there and go, oops, it's not there. Or they don't want it to be there. Or they don't have their shit together. Or the computer land is getting too complicated even for them as they switch over to the spy network. Common sense tells me that's what's happening. They're switching everything over. Just bought another laptop and they tried to sell me something that looked like a goddamn iPod. And I wouldn't now. I want my old operating system, Windows 7. I want a computer. I don't want an app machine with a bunch of apps on it. Then you got to go through them and store everything on there? No, sorry. See, this is what they're doing. They're making these big common sense, will tell you by looking at this stuff, that they're making big changes in internet land. Okay? Big changes. They're completely taken over just like they did the broadcast networks and everything else. You won't be able to see people. See, somebody told me how to eliminate that sleep thing. It doesn't work. I put the settings on there and the goddamn computer still goes to sleep. It's got a mind of its own. But they're making big changes everywhere, okay? So there's change, and there's lies. And then there's common sense, okay? It tells you that this is all going south, baby. It's going south. If I had a good woman right now, I'd put her on my arm and I'd head south or north or somewhere. And I'd teach her everything I knew about the martial arts if she didn't already know. And I would get her ass in shape and she would be my companion. And I'd get the fuck out of Dodge. That's what I would do if I found the right woman that wasn't caught up in all this women's lib bullshit in the Western civilization. If she lived like a true tribal woman, a squaw, that's a word, a squaw. It's Algonquin. It means woman. There's no derogatory thing with that, okay? Covering a lot of ground here. This is going to be a good video if anybody ever watches it. It's a very important video. Because I don't make videos anymore unless something comes to me, I'm inspired. It's been 3, 4, 5 days and I think, should I make one? Last one I made was kind of like, But I guess somebody gets something out of it, you know, all of them. Use your fucking common sense, will you people? Really tired of it. Bunch of brain dead people walking around. Or people that just want to argue or they don't want to listen. You will listen if you watch this video. If you don't want to listen, turn it off. But if you watch it, listen. At least give me that courtesy. All the way through. Because I'm imparting shamanistic stuff to you on all kinds of fucking levels here. Oh, I'm such a bad guy. I can fly. With the red-tailed hawk and all of them. I can shapeshift and fly. both. And if you see a red-tailed hawk land on your porch, think twice about it. Okay. Well, I sure hope some of you people use some of that common sense that God gave you. No, use the common sense that comes from the primordial chi, from the higher selves, from the higher entities, from your spirit guides. Use that common sense and the common sense that is naturally inbred into you to realize that and to know on a gut level, which means on a spiritual feeling, being in presence tracker level, like an Apache. Use that common sense and use your intuitive ability. Go beyond common sense. Common sense was just the name for this video to get your attention. But I might call it common sense and intuition. That would even be better now that I think about it. Because intuitive powers are very strong coupled with common sense. They kind of go hand in hand, don't they? I would think so. And this world's so messed up right now because of not having common sense, and they don't want you to have common sense. They want you, they want to confuse you so bad that you don't know whether you're coming or going. And I'm really getting sick of this stuff in the Ukraine and with Putin and just the whole ball of wax. It's just like a rerun over and over again every day. There's nobody with balls anymore. I mean, I like Putin, yes. Okay, I've said that before, but don't let him sneak in the back door. I read a couple of articles that made sense to me about, well, why hasn't he done something by now? What's the big deal? Let's get in there and kick some ass, okay? Without going nuclear. And straighten things out. Do a bitch slap on the West, big time. It needs it. Okay, brother? Do it. And you know, as far as the weather, do a bitch slap on us, Mother Nature. We're due. Something's got to wake these punks up. That's what they are. They're punks. They're a bunch of crybaby, whining idiots that want their own way all the time. And if they don't get it, they'll manipulate and screw you and spy on you and do all kinds of fucking shit. And they know where they can put it, where the sun don't shine. I've been on this planet long enough where I can say whatever I want to say. Sorry to those that don't like it. I could be real nice too. I can be real nice. I can shapeshift into anything. I could be a milquetoast love and lighter too. New age. I can go that route. All those people, all those new age people, I won't mention any names there. The ones out on the road making a lot of money, giving someone, they stole everything they know from shamans. And then they misuse it. They don't present it in the right manner. They come on all love and light. Well, of course, dummy. Love and light. I love you. Honest, I do. Come to my seminar and spend $5,000 on a boat cruise, and I'll tell you some secrets. Like out of the book, The Secret. Has all kinds of intelligent people in there, man. Got to be careful of false prophets. One guy in that book, The Secret, is supposed to be such a did a deal in Sedona where he made a sweat lodge out of plastic and burned a bunch of people up. Oh, he was a good one. That's a good example of shamanism. Okay, that's enough. I've been on my little soapbox here, my little milk carton, whatever, wooden. I'm out of here. I love you guys. I hate even saying that word, I love you guys, because it's said so many times and people just, yeah, sure, right. You know, just like a maid will say, oh, I love you. Well, prove it. Prove it to each other. Man, you really don't even need to prove it if there's real love there. You don't need to prove it. That's one last thing here, common sense about relationships. That's why relationships fail. That's why they don't make it. It's because people don't use common sense with that either. They don't realize the role. Everything is a role. Okay? So even in a relationship, you can play any role you want and not get all bent out of shape about it. Okay? You can play the role of the dutiful wife. It's just a role. And if it makes you feel good, well then, wow, maybe that was a good role. And the husband can treat the wife with respect and reverence and realize that matriarchy and not patriarchy, really the women are the leaders. Okay, but they have to prove it to me in a way. They have to prove that they're not hung up in the Americanized, westernized bullshit and realize that they don't have anything to prove. Okay? They don't have to envy the man's whatever. They're powerful. You're powerful, women. I recognize that and I have reverence for it. So don't go on these trips where just use your common sense and realize, look back in history. Women aren't supposed to be working out as lawyers and in the workplace and all that shit. I'm sorry. And neither are men, for that matter. We're all supposed to be living off the land. Not having 2 careers to support a house that you can bury in a car and have all kinds of credit and blah, 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 blah. And living the high life, which ain't the high life. It's the low life. And women will use men for a meal ticket, and then they'll sit there and condemn whores. What's the difference? No, it should be back to the way it was, with the woman, the matriarch, really was in the tribal ways, ran the whole village, did everything, sewing, cooking, made the men's buckskin clothes, set up camp, decided when they were going to move, basically, had a big part in electing the chiefs. If the women didn't like the chiefs, you had a problem. And the men were given their respective freedom to go out and hunt and be in nature and supply the women with the food and the skins and actually bring in the support system of, it was all a mutual support system. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. the men would bring in the bucks and the food and all this stuff and defend their camp from the women, and the women would gladly and lovingly supported their man and made him clothes and made the food, and boy, that food was good back then. The buffalo and talk about real food, and they knew how to make it. Man, I'd like to just, I've been there before, I know I have. Okay. May sound a little off the wall, but I've been there before. I wouldn't be this into it if I hadn't been. And when I was a young man roaming around the plains of Arizona and going out on my own at, say, 12, 13 years old and traveling with no money, just trust, looking for the creature. That's an old mountain man. Looking for the creature. I want to look for the creature. And the creature was the unknown. And feeling free and just doing it. I was closer back then to, you can't do that nowadays. Everything costs money. And see, I tried with this computer thing. I don't know, maybe somebody can lend me a hand with this, but it shouldn't go on sleep. If you go into the, control panel and set, power options, sleep, never. You check that. Does that work? Never. Anyway, it's time for me to go anyway, so I'm out of here. Adios from the one eye of the heart. This is Thunder. Later.